Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia and welcome back to another Better Commandery Guide video. Today we're doing yet another subscriber requested video by finally doing an overview of the Yellow Turban buildings in the game. For those of you who are unaware, the Yellow Turban faction of Huangshao, Heyi, and Gongdu was the first DLC pack for the Total War 3 Kingdoms. It was given out as part of the pre-order bonus and for players who purchased the game within the first week of release. If you don't have the DLC and are thinking about getting it, or have it but haven't tried to play these three factions, then hopefully this guide can also give you a preview of how Yellow Turban buildings, which are unique from the base game, works. Aside from different buildings, the Yellow Turbans have a different character classes with their own skill trees, different units, a totally different research-based reform tree, and as this guide will cover, completely different building chains. Before we jump into the overview, there are a few points I want to establish. First off, Yellow Turban building chains are all linear and simplified when compared to the base game. As shown here, every single building chain is linear. So unlike the base game, city building has a lot less choices. Therefore, this guide will also seem a bit shallower when compared to my other Commandery guide videos, because frankly, there isn't too much to analyze when building upgrades are so straightforward. Secondly, none of the Yellow Turban buildings provide the WUXING building synergy discount that the regular factions enjoy. I cannot understand the rationale behind this, but this is what we have to deal with. From a building perspective, the Yellow Turban DLC is rather dumbed down. The buildings are brand new and different, but lack some of the strategic depth that's available in the base game. The one silver lining is that all specialty counties like farmland, iron mine, and trade ports still provide the same branching building chains and WUXING synergies as they do in the base game. So there is still an element of strategy that can be considered there. But overall, I found the Yellow Turban buildings to lack depth and strategy. Okay, now that we got the bad news out of the way, let's take a look through all these brand new buildings. Despite not having the WUXING building synergy discounts, the buildings are still color-coded in the same way as the base game and comes in groups of 3s, so we'll be looking at them in the order they appear in the game. I have also decided to look at the max level versions of each building to see what they ultimately provide to our cities in order to best gauge their potential. We start with the 3 purple or economic buildings here of the labor housing, manufacturing, and artisan building chains. The labor housing is a combination of the labor and private workshop building from the base game. It provides high population growth and a small multiplier to commerce and industry income. The manufacturing building chain is sort of like the state workshop and simply provides a flat industry income, while the artisan building chain provides a mixture of flat industry and commerce income. These two buildings also unlock the industrialist and artisan resources for the Yellow Turban. Next, we have the 3 green or agricultural buildings. First up is the farmer housing building chain, which acts like the government support building chain, except for it provides additional population growth alongside multipliers to food and peasantry income. Next, we have the farming building chain, which is very similar to the land development building chain, except for it does not provide population growth. This is instead given to the farmer housing building chain that we just went over. Finally, we have the grain storage, which is an upgraded version of the base game grain storage, as it lost the upkeep and now provides a flat peasantry income alongside public water boost. Moving on to the blue, or the learning and market buildings, we have the communal inn, which is pretty different from the base game inn building, as it no longer has a commerce income multiplier, but instead provides public order and faction-wide satisfaction alongside a flat commerce income. Next, we have the school building chain, which is the first and only Yellow Turban building that has an upkeep cost. It provides experience just like the regular school building, but also gives unit experience as well as the characters. Communal trade is the Yellow Turban version of the marketplace. It lost the upkeep, but provides the same commerce income multiplier boost and trade influence multiplier boost. It also unlocks the entrepreneur for the Yellow Turban. Next, we move on to the red or military buildings. We have recruitment, which is a downgraded version of the base game conscription building because it is missing the redeployment discount, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. The forge building chain is a huge upgrade from the base game, and my favorite Yellow Turban building. The forge building chain provides military supplies, a flat industry income, an industry income multiplier, and a massive replenishment boost. Not only that, the forge building chain only comes with 2 levels, and the second level is only restricted by a level 4 small city upgrade. There are no reforms requirements, and the level 1 building only costs 1,000 gold with 1 turns to build. And the level 2 upgrade only costs 2,000 gold and still 1 turn to build. So I implore you that if you can only take away one thing from this guide about Yellow Turban buildings, then in your Yellow Turban campaign, please remember to spam this building in all your early cities as soon as possible to help you build your bankroll and help your army recover after tough fights. After this excitement about the forge building chain, we return back to a boring building in the garrison building chain. This building chain is similar to the base game version, except for that it also provides military supplies to adjacent commanderies as well, and has no upkeep. Finally, we move on to the yellow or government building chains. We start with the temple, which provides enlightenment points, which are similar to prestige points. It also provides public order and an income multiplier to all source. Next, we have the Yellow Turban building headquarters, which is another building chain that caught my eye when doing the research. This building provides 1 additional administrator slot, which is always useful, plus 15 public order in your local commandery, and reduces public order in adjacent commanderies. This buff right here is perfect for Yellow Turbans, as you can peacefully create localized Yellow Turban rebellions in your neighboring commanderies that once they take over the commandery, you can easily just annex to gain control of enemy settlements. It also provides a nice 15% recruitment cost in the local commandery. So overall, I rate this building very highly as well. Lastly, we have the esotericism. I think I butchered it, but this building chain provides the 2 Yellow Turban unique boost in enlightenment points and research rate buffs. Enlightenment points, as we mentioned earlier, are like prestige points in the base game. They help rank up your faction. Research rate boost make you acquire reforms faster. Unlike the base game reform system where you research a new reform every spring, Yellow Turban reforms return to a more traditional strategy game approach where you have to spend turns researching for new reform. Therefore, the higher your research rate is, the faster you get new reforms. Now that we covered all 15 Yellow Turban buildings, we're not done, as there are still the faction unique buildings for the 3 different Yellow Turban factions. These 3 buildings, as shown here, all cater to the playstyle of their own faction and are available to build in addition to the 15 buildings we just discussed, as they are not vanilla building replacements, but rather a new 16 building chain for each of the faction. Starting with Huang Shao's garden building chain, we see that it simply provides boost to satisfaction for clan-wide and research rate. This plays to Huang Shao's ability to recruit new characters and focus on reform. Next, we have Gongdu's guerrilla warfare building chain that increases post-battle loot and provides military supplies to the commandery and adjacent commanderies. This plays into Gongdu's aggressive warring playstyle. Lastly, we have He Yi's healing building chain, which provides additional enlightenment, population growth, and public order. Now, He Yi, being the man of the people, heavily utilized population in his playstyle to aid replenishment, so this building also fits nicely to his playstyle. None of these buildings seems to be super strong to warrant any high priority in the early game, as they seem to be more win more buildings that gears your game towards perfecting a certain playstyle once you roll around into the mid and late game. Lastly, it is not a serious trivia Commandery guide if we don't end up talking about money. I started these Commandery guides as a means to improve your economy, so let's take a look at the pros and cons of the Yellow Turban economy system by looking at the buildings that are related to each of the three main income sources. We start with peasantry income. For peasantry income, we only have the three agricultural building chains. These three buildings provide a total of 350 peasantry income and 30% peasantry income boost. Both of these buildings are not as high as buildings from the base game can provide, but all these buildings are upkeep free, and you don't have to sell food to achieve this high level of peasantry income, nor do you have to suffer from a public order penalty from the tax collection building. And these three buildings are much cheaper to build than the base game options. Add on to the fact that peasantry income is also the most scalable income source, since population can provide 350% peasantry income boost, high fertility can provide additional 50%, and reforms, assignments, and administrator and council positions can all pitch in to make peasantry quite a respectable income source for the Yellow Turbans. Next, we have commerce income. For commerce income, we have the following four building chains, which can bring a total of 310 commerce income and add 165% commerce income boost. The figure here for the base income is quite impressive, as the in-building maxes out to just 250 commerce income, but the amount of multiplier is seriously disappointing. For the base game, I can easily raise the multiplier to over 700 or even 800% with the right build. As a matter of fact, just the private workshop building itself can bring over 190% commerce income multiplier, so the potential for commerce income in the Yellow Turban is just lacking. Finally, we have the industry income, which revolves around the following four building chains. Here, we can see that the total income provided totals up to over 910 industry income, alongside a 50% multiplier. This is very impressive, as the base game can only muster a maximum of 500 industry income with about 100% multiplier if you really tried. But the issue in the base game is that you're often forced to take the 300 industry income route, where you gain the 15% corruption reduction from the state workshop, and only take about 40% industry income multiplier from just the private workshop tree, since the base game labor and forge buildings that provide additional industry income are very inefficient and upkeep intensive to build. So industry income really comes off as a strong point for the Yellow Turban, and it's probably a very strong and cheap source of income for your campaigns. This is all thanks to the forge building, which we talked about earlier. Okay, this wraps up our overview today, as we have taken a complete look at all of Yellow Turban buildings color by color and by income source. We also tried to relate many of the buildings to the base game counterpart to translate some of our base game knowledge to our Yellow Turban campaigns, as well as highlighted a few standouts such as the forge and headquarters building chains. Overall, the Yellow Turban buildings are not difficult to understand because their linear upgrade path and their lack of WUXING building synergies, but the lack of depth when compared to the base game is made up by their cheaper cost, faster build time, and free upkeeps. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video and found the content to be helpful to your game. I would love to hear your feedbacks, requests in the comment section below to help me improve going forward. If you haven't done so already, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I produce new videos daily, so there's always something new and exciting happening on my channel. For example, this weekend, I'll be continuing the Reform Guide series, and our next Commandery Guide video will be next Tuesday featuring Yangzhou, followed by Thursday featuring Chengdu. So stay tuned to that, and thank you for subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and see y'all next time. Bye!